Hi. This movie is done by the drone, so it's no sound, and I figured out that it would be probably the good opportunity to explain or try to explain the gearing I'm using on Trials bike. So it seems very simple, just basically put the gear and then just go and give a try. But it sounds a little bit more, it's actually more complicated than it sounds. And let me explain you why. I strongly believe that choice of the gearing, it really depends from the comfort and ability of the individual rider. When I was younger, I was using higher gearing, higher speed. I was just muscling through some of the obstacle to basically to make it. And the reason is that with the higher gearing, I was using less power, and then it was faster, so there were more chances actually that I went up the obstacle. But when I was getting better and better, I recognized that actually first gear, even with the quite steep walls, but one wall after another, which like a step, that was the best choice, because it just gives me ability to prepare my body to react to the next obstacle. The higher speed was just basically bouncing me off instead of just riding through, but it all comes with the experience. Also, choice of the gear, it depends from the bike you're riding. So 2-stroke versus 4-stroke, completely different different characteristic. One obstacle you can ride on a second gear on a 4-stroke, and then on a 2-stroke you can go easily with the first gear, because it's much softer and it's just required a little bit more speed. Also the gearing ratio, so some bikes have been modified. So let's say that someone put the smaller sprocket at the front and then the bigger on the back. The bike is a little bit slower, has a better acceleration, lower top speed, but then it's very good for the technical riding, and the gears actually seems a little bit shorter. If we change the ratio, that actually you put the smaller sprockets on the back and then bigger at the front, each gears will be longer, but then they will have a higher top speed. So again, it's all individual, what kind of bike you have. Some riders like Alan from Cascade Motorsport in Mission, BC, he changed his gas keeping the same ratio but changed the sprocket. So before he had the 42 on the back and 10 at the front, which gives you the ratio 4.2, and then he wanted the bike to shorten. So what he did, he put 38 on the back and then 9 at the front, which gives you exactly the same ratio, 4.22, with the chain much shorter, and the bike was more compact. And for him it was actually working much better, because the bike was better going in the turns, and then he liked his gearing the way it was. Then it all depends from the gears you are using. So I can use 3 different gearing on the same obstacle, and then if I depends how much I open the throttle. So some of the obstacle, if I open a lot of throttle and then just wind the bike to the maximum, I can go on the first gear. If I use, let's say, 3/4 of the power on the second gear, I will do exactly the same. If I use only half a power, I will go on the third gear, but it will be much faster. And it all depends. We're going to the next variable. It's basically a terrain. So is it slippery? Is it dry? Do you have a next obstacle shortly after? How comfortable you are keeping the balance? So if I have a bottom extremely slippery, I will use second or the third gear and then the slip on a purpose. And then if it's dry, I will just go and then use the first gear. Then we have a throttle control. So some bikes straight from the factory, they have a different body throttle, and then one of them, the spinning part, the tubing, it's black. It's called the slow throttle. So it means that you have to open, let's say, almost your wrist from the top to the bottom completely open, and it takes whole entire turn of your wrist to have an open throttle with the slow throttle, the black one. And then with the white one, you have like 60% of the turn, and then you have a full throttle. But I also learned that you can put the pinion inside, and then you have an extra fast throttle, which is only required 1/4 of the throttle. Then, clutch control obviously is very important as well. Can you slip the clutch? Can you open the throttle really wide? Some of the bikes have been modified in different ways. So I had the pleasure to ride on a bike which was owned by Tadej Blažušek 2 years ago in Poland, or maybe last year. And this bike on the gas had some kind of the extra flywheel weight, and this bike was just fantastic, phenomenal. It just felt like my 4-stroke. And the other bikes, the 2-strokes, they were completely different. Then you have a cc of the bike. Obviously 125, you have to crank it up very, very hard, and the other one you don't have to if you have a 250 or 300. So it's a lot of variables and variables. And the best advice I can give you, what the Ryan Young said, just try on the same obstacle different gearings with a different throttle control. But to be able to do it, you just need to practice. And if you have a time, I will really recommend 2 schools. One, it's a Ryan Young. Go and then just write the email if you want to organize the school. Ryan Young Trial Schools Gmail, or Jordi Pasquet in Spain. All the best, guys. Bye.